faith.
It's a covenant cleanup.
High glove, and the Wild have a 1-0 lead.
Minnesota controlling the puck right from the draw here once again. There's Ryan Hartman. He gets a lot of those goals by being by that blue paint area.
Marcus Johansson got to a favorable bounce, jammed it home. It's his first goal since January the 15th, and it's 2-0 Wild.
Yeah, big goal for Minnesota, also opening up the spread of these two teams right now.
To Tarasenko, and he scores! A power play goal for Vladimir Tarasenko. He stays red hot, and the Wild are back in front by a pair. It's 3-1 Minnesota.
Pleasant good morning to you, and welcome to the capital city of St. Paul in the state of Minnesota, and welcome to 9 to noon for a VOX in the Box presentation. If you listen real closely, you'll hear Zamboni guy in front of us right now. Hey, my man, what's going on? My man. Hey, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Good job as usual. Nordo's here. I'm Paul Lowell.
We were kind of hoping for a horn honk, weren't we?
Yeah, remember your kid used to have the truck driver do the thing? You did the thing with the thing?
It was, I think it's Chris Asse, but not Zamboni guy. What was he?
I know right guy. He's I know right guy.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's all time at Grand Casino.
That was over at Grand Casino. We're a trio today for a Vox in the Box. That's Kevin Gorg at Gorgomatic21 via X. 3 times the Minnesota Wild have beaten the Blackhawks this year, 4-3 in overtime, and you're red hot right now. I mean, everything you're touching is heading to your pocket.
Not true.
So very true, says the undulation leader. Chances it happens again tonight. 4-3 win for the Wild in overtime. Let's go.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, it's been crazy how good these games have been. You know, a couple nights ago, looks like the Wild are going to take full control in the first 20. 3 goals in that period. Chicago invariably comes back, gets a little push late in the game, ties it up, and then in overtime I thought the Wild were brilliant. But, yeah, they've been tough games. They've been hard-fought games. Chicago's on the come. They're a year or two away. They've got some young talent. I love Spencer Knight, their goaltender. He was terrific the other night. But Minnesota's owned this team, 18-0-1 in their last 19 matchups. Haven't lost to this team since before the pandemic. Think about that.
How'd you do it? Cam Young for the power trip, press box pull, all 6 qualified, and made the cut. How'd you do it, man? It was mastery.
It was fun. You know, you get pick 9, you're not always going to get a guy that is one of the favorites. But I thought, you know, looking at that tournament, one of the 3 or 4 best players with the greatest opportunity to win on that golf course was a guy like Cam Young that can dominate with his driver. That's seen his putter improve here recently. And listen, golf's all about luck. I mean, 3 weeks before that, I had Shane Lowry sitting on the 16th tee with a 3-shot lead going against a bunch of scrubs, and he couldn't get the job done. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, golf betting is torturous, and when you get lucky like I did last week and run down a guy of the quality of a Ludwig Oberg and meat sauce, you take your wins and move on because they're few and far between.
What did you do on 18 when Cam hit like a 380-yard freaking ICBM on that course, and effectively put himself in a spot where now he's still got to finish that hole, obviously, in the right way. But that thing was a freaking missile.
It's the greatest drive I've ever seen. With that pressure in that moment, and I'm going to be totally honest. I used to caddy. That's what I did growing up. I caddied for years. As they're walking to the tee, I'm texting with one of my golf-loving buddies. I'm like, if I'm his caddy, I will not take the head cover off the driver. I will not let him hit driver because the day before Nordo, he plays a draw, right? That's his bit. He hit a great drive that got caught up in the wind and took 2 bounces and went in the damn water. And I'm like, hit an iron off the tee, put the pressure on Fitzpatrick, knowing if you hit an iron downwind, he'll have probably a wedge into the green. And he says, screw it. I'm taking the driver, and I'm putting the heat on this guy. And I'm telling you right now, once he hit that drive, he forced the hand of Fitzpatrick, who doesn't move the ball right to left and hits a straight line drive all the time. And that went through the fairway, and that's, to me, where the tournament was won and lost.
9 to noon is happy to share that Marcus Foligno not only will join 9 to noon today at about 11:20 for the Foligno face-off with him and his brother Nick, a member of the Minnesota Wild, raising money for Hockey Fights Cancer. So Moose at about 11:20 today, but Moose on the ice today at 10 a.m. Moose is skating at 10 a.m. Yours truly received permission to share that before 10 a.m.
Wow.
I think it's good news.
It's great news. And I think if you look at this final month of the season, and, wherever I go, people want to, what's going on with the Wild? What do you think's going to happen? Who are they going to play? The bottom line is this. They've put themselves in a great position in the toughest division, top end, in the National Hockey League. All I'm asking for is in 1 month's time, when the playoffs start, they are healthy and they're ready to roll. If they've got everybody going at that point, I'm good. The wins and losses between now and then, in my opinion, is complete window dressing. They're going to be the 3 seed. They're either going to play Colorado or Dallas, and they're going to be the underdog, and they're going to go on the road. And I'm good with all of it because this team is good enough to beat either one of those squads. I want this team to be healthy. And for me, you need Marcus Foligno, you need Joel Eriksson-Ek, and I am super intrigued by Bobby Brink. All 3 right now are dealing with something. I don't care if and when they come back in the next couple of weeks. I do care what this team looks like in that last week leading into the end of the regular season and that epic playoff matchup, whoever it's against.
All right, now I'm really, really glad you went down that road, Senor Spotty, because I'd like to vet out a couple of things with you for the John Hines interview at 10:35 here at Tria in St. Paul for Vox in the Box, and that would be first. When addressing, now, I don't think you would address the head coach with that point about, here's your lot in life, you're going to be on the road, it's going to be one of those two, which is factual. But, like, when you're talking to a coach, you just do things a little differently. You know what I'm saying?
You got to maybe let him get there.
Yeah. Right. There we go.
You don't say no biggie.
Right.
Because in his eyes, they can win 10 in a row, and maybe the Dallas Stars will actually lose a game here in the next week or two.
You watched that game last night?
Absolutely.
I mean, holy cow, those guys combined for like 7 to 11 goals every time they play. What a tight checking playoff atmosphere meat grinder last night.
I looked up at the shot clock because Ottinger was
Dallas
on fire.
won in a shootout.
And Colorado at one point was out shooting Dallas 24-10, and Ottinger had pulled 2 or 3 out of the net. I mean, literally point-blank shots. Nathan McKinnon, open net, and he's whipping out the glove arm, and the puck's going up his sleeve. It was ridiculous. And so as I look at this, and again, back to the original conversation, when my buddies ask me, or people on the street, who do you think the Wild would match up with better? Listen, Colorado has been the best team in the league all year long. They have not played good hockey here down the stretch. And I look at their goaltending and say the Wild would have a distinct advantage with the 2 that Minnesota has compared to the 2 that Colorado has. To me, Minnesota probably matches up better up front with Dallas, but Jake Ottinger is a guy that scares me to death.
Right.
He's one of the best in the world. He's a Minnesota kid who has tremendous numbers against the Wild. So if Dallas wants to run down Colorado, it's not going to bother me.
All right, so here's what I want to vet out. When you go down that conversation with a coach, it's, because this is the final 13, these, for the most part, are human nature games. So the players, whether they want to admit it or not, they know what's next is exactly what you said.
They do.
So, therefore, I'm not, certainly pinning the losses to the Rangers and Toronto and Philadelphia and the meat grinder against the Blackhawks, who are decent and getting better. But the mindset now is not what it's going to be in 3.5 weeks.
No.
So, therefore, like as a coach, how do you handle that? And is there an opportunity maybe to mix things up and try some new things just to see what it looks like, because you know what your lot in life is?
It's a great question, PA, and what magnifies the depth of that question is who this team is. This is a veteran, experienced, talented team. And if you look at the last couple of weeks and really handicap how the Wild have played, and there have been some games, like you just mentioned, where they have given away points against non-playoff teams. But when they have faced the elite of the elite, the Vegases, the Colorados, the top echelon Tampa Bay, they have elevated their game to a place where that looks to me like a team that's ready for the playoffs. You can't fool these guys. Like, they're not a bunch of 21-year-old kids just eager to get out there every night. These are veteran players. Look at Matt Zuccarello. Look at our blue line with Spurgeon and Brodeen. They know exactly what they need to do to get ready for April 18th when this whole thing changes and it starts playoff hockey.
All right. Secondly, are you a fan of 3-on-3?
I am
3-on-3.
3-on-3 way more than the shootout. I despise the shootout. I love 3-on-3. If we could get the shootout eliminated and add 3, 4, 5 minutes to 3-on-3 and say, hey, if we don't figure this out and play 8 minutes of 3-on-3 and get a goal, we'll just call it a tie. I cannot stand the shootout. It's a gimmick. It's not real hockey.
All right, so the point with Heinze, and this reared its head more so in the Olympics than like a regular season game with any team where, you got 3-on-3 in the Olympics and you're like, wow, holy cow, look at the star power that's left on the bench. I mean, simply because it's such a speed thing, there's no checking, and so therefore, how much does it limit personnel that you can use when you get into a 3-on-3? That's a decent one for Heinze, right?
That's a great question. It probably cuts it in half. If you look at what he has to work with on a given night, 20 dress, one's a backup tendy, probably has half his roster at his disposal.
The way that I want to go with the overtime is, first of all, like the Olympics, wasn't it specifically in the gold medal game, it was just 20 minutes. They were going to play overtime until somebody scored.
You knew it was never going to last 20 minutes. But yes, it was 20 minutes, and it was spectacular.
But to that end, I was talking about this yesterday. It didn't come up. I had your guy Walls on, and he was terrific as usual. But the idea of this team, the Minnesota Wild, just 25 regulation victories on the season. So you can kind of play that two ways. So you can say you look at that Blackhawks win, and you love the early urgency, but Chicago backs them into a spot slowly over the course of the game that requires the extra period. Zuccarello, veteran-laden team, they handle business in the spot. But in the postseason, for a team that is having trouble putting squads away, is it worrisome at all, the idea that this team has had to take it to overtime and or a shootout as many times as they have this year?
Maybe the tread off the tire theory, because you're expending an awful lot of energy. And as I look at this, Nordo, it's not about having to go to overtime with Chicago. It's not about the close games they've had to play with who they've had to play them. But then I look at the minutes for Brock Faber and the minutes for Quinn Hughes and these guys that didn't have an Olympic break. We've got 8 or 9 of them on this roster, and the residual effects that might cause. I don't worry about this team in terms of, why they're in a close game. There's parity in this league. Teams rise up. Minnesota now, with their star power, likely gets the best of the best from some of these non-playoff teams. But what I really, truly worry about throughout the season, and specifically here in the final month, is making sure that our core guys, our star players that are going to be leaned on, you're likely going to see overtime games in the playoffs where a guy like Faber or Quinn Hughes is going to be asked to play 40 minutes of hockey.
Yeah.
Are we going to get them the requisite rest that they need down the stretch? And I know it's not the NBA, and I know we don't do load management, but if we get to a place in the season, and we've asked John Hines this question, and I'd love to hear you ask the question again, is will they pick and choose some spots here at the end of the year and give these guys,
sick guys,
a night or two off? Yeah. Because to me, right now, it really comes down to one thing. This is a really good club, the best team I've ever covered in my 2 decades. Can they be fully healthy and ready to go come playoff time? The rest of it doesn't matter to me. It does not matter one bit. I've seen this team at their best against the league's best, and they're good enough to play with anybody in this league.
Look after the Olympic break, because Kaprizov didn't play. I mean, Kirill was going 2 to everybody's 1.
You could tell.
Maybe still is. I mean, he's high end, obviously, but like when everybody reconvened, Kaprizov was playing with his hair on fire because he was rested.
Yeah, and he was chomping at the bit. I think he was really disappointed not to have that opportunity to represent his country in the Olympics. That'll change, hopefully, in the coming years. But you're exactly right, PA. Those first couple of games, he was 2 to 1. I mean, he was just full of fire. He always has that engine. I mean, he's just built differently. He and Quinn Hughes, you watch them in overtime, and I was in the press box waiting to do the post-game show in Chicago, and I'm watching Quinn Hughes in this overtime, and I'm like, okay, you're at the end of a shift. You've been out here for 90 seconds, and he still has gas in the tank to go out there and really literally circle the wagons in the offensive zone. What a treat.
Dallas Saturday. Tell me it's not one of these ESPN 3
No,
Finascos.
we get to do the game. 3 o'clock.
That's good.
Downtown St. Paul. It's going to be like
TNT does awesome
degrees.
work.
They do great work.
TNT does fantastic work. The ESPN 3 clump, with respect, I'm not a fan.
No. Give me Edzo and the TNT crew. I'm all good. But bottom line is I'd rather be working every game.
Right.
And listen.
So you guys got that one Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
What a game.
Beautiful day in St. Paul. Nordo, you understand the vibe that's going to be. This could be a precursor to what lies ahead in April, right? Yeah. I mean, nice warm weather, the cargo shorts, the hockey jerseys, the fans are out. We're ready to rock.
Salmon shorts and flip-flops.
There you go.
To be specific.
I'm the only one with whom I've chatted, and that includes Wes Walls. Yesterday he was on with Nordo, and I had a speaking engagement in St. Cloud, so that when they were done, I called Wes, and we chatted about some things. I prefer Colorado over Dallas.
I don't mind it at all.
I mean, it's now the Wild haven't played Dallas since like mid-December before Husey. Robertson didn't play for Dallas in that 5-2 win for the Stars. Then you go back, or 5-2 win for the Wild. Then you go back previously, and the Stars beat the Wild at Dallas 5-2. And Husey wasn't on the team yet, obviously. So there are factors that you can put in there, like he wasn't here, and he wasn't playing, and he was hurt, and he was nicked up, and all that. And maybe there's Stars-related PTSD simply because of the way they play. And we've seen them. They played Colorado 4 times already, right?
Yep.
Yeah, all 4. I like
2-1-1 for us.
I like how the Wild plays Colorado. The 5-2 out of the Olympic break may be an outlier. Everything is so tightly. They play so confidently against the Colorado Avalanche. And Ottinger, for me, with what? Wedgwood and Blackwood?
Blackwood and Wedgwood. There you go.
That's the separator, bro.
I agree.
That's the separator for me. I would prefer Colorado, and most people, including Walsey, were like, you're an idiot. It's McKinnon. I'm like, okay, cool, we'll see.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be tough either way. They're going to be the betting underdog, which I don't mind. You're going to likely, if this team's going to go where they need to go, they're going to have to beat them both anyway. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter when you get them.
That's a good point.
You're likely going to they're just, I look at this side of the bracket, and I look at those two teams in specific, whoever they're going to play. Utah's on the come. Seattle's plucky. You got, the Sharks, the Ducks. None of these teams match up with Dallas and Colorado. So you have to get through both to get there. And I guess for me, the silver lining is, and I don't love the playoff format, but for this team specifically, you're likely going to be more fresh with especially that defensive core that's going to have to be brilliant to beat either one of these teams. Yeah. Early in the playoffs, by the time you get to the third round, I guess that's something to think about. Because think about if you get through Colorado and Dallas in consecutive series, and you get to the conference final, you're going to go from being a significant underdog in these first 2 series to a heavy favorite.
Yes.
I don't even care if it's Vegas. Minnesota has owned the Golden Knights this year, not just beat them handily.
Right.
So, and they're the best in my eyes of the teams that you would get in that conference final. So. Listen, these first 2 series, if they get the chance to play these 2 teams, are going to be absolutely wars, knockdown, drag-out, 6-7 game battles. But I do believe this team is equipped to beat either one of them.
Hey, gearing back specifically to the team, much was made of, and should have been, John Hines and that penalty kill in the Olympics. You think he learned something about, come post-Olympic break, I think the PK has been terrific for this team. And, it's like, they were perfect in the Olympics. Well, look at who Heinze's working with. Comes kind of brings some of that spirit back to his own club, and it's been awesome.
They've been a little more aggressive, and I think John Hines has talked about this a couple times with us. They've been much better in the face-off circle. And I can't tell you guys, and Wes Walls can speak to this, because when you constantly are starting with a defensive zone face-off, and let's be honest, 75-80% of the time when you're shorthanded for 2 minutes, these face-offs are in your zone. When you can win that draw and get an efficient and quick clear, and they've got the D-men to do that, it starts on the dot. And I do think watching this penalty kill since the trade deadline, a player like Michael McCarron is going to be a giant asset for this team come playoff time, because he's great in the dot. He is a big 6'6" guy. When the rink shrinks, the playoffs, and that stuff really starts to matter, a player like him, I think, is going to be enormous. We know Yakov Trenyan, hit leader in the National Hockey League. He's a really solid player during the regular season. I think he's much more impactful come playoff time. Another part of that penalty kill, and then you get to talk to Marcus Foligno and his health, what he can do on the penalty kill. But you're right. John Hines and this penalty kill has evolved all year long, and I think the decision going back to training camp when he decided to have a conversation with a guy like Matt Boldy, who's one of their high-end talented guys, risky move, you guys, to use him. But that's the type of player he wants. Long, tall, rangy stick, can skate, has some hands. It's worked. This penalty kill has been a real process for Hines and this coaching staff, but some of that momentum off what the red, white, and blue did certainly, I think, is playing a factor.
That McCarron cat, by the way, saw him this morning downstairs. First time I've seen him in person. I mean, they're high-end athletes. We know that. But Kirill Kaprizov, I think hockey fans are not daft to the idea that you meet some of these guys in person. It's like they're 5'10", 5'11", very maybe unassuming, right, despite their significant athletic prowess. He looks like it's like youth sports, and he's the kid that had a beard in 6th grade. He's a freaky giant down there.
He's really big.
And we watched Fernando Mendoza for Indiana win the national championship, that quarterback. I felt the same thing with him when I walked by him in a hallway in the in Indiana Convention Center.
No kidding.
I couldn't believe how big he was. I mean, this kid is massive.
He doesn't look that big on
TV. He's 6'5", but he's thick. I mean, he's a big.
Yeah,
he's a big
still
kid,
way.
man.
He's just a big, giant unit. It's
and
awesome.
I brought those two things up because they play, like unlike NBA or MLB, they play with armor. So, therefore you can't exactly, and then hockey players are on skates. You can't exactly tell what the stature is like. Quinn Hughesy, the offense and the playmaking is dazzling. What about his defense? What about his defense individually and his defense with the team? I mean, what do you see, and how is that considered league-wide?
Well, I think if you watch him on a nightly basis, which we are lucky to do here in Minnesota, you see the gifts that he brings to the rink every night. And what he has to do defensively, guys, is different than a Brock Faber. And there's a reason they're paired up.
Because of size?
Yeah, Brock is much stronger in small spaces, can out-muscle guys, can win board battles. That's not really the game you're going to see from Quinn Hughes. What Hughes can do and what he needs to do come playoff time, because I'm going to tell you right now, whoever they play, Dallas or Colorado, in that first-round series, their coaches are going to specifically say, we're chipping that puck in on the Hughes side, and we're hitting 43 every chance we get, because that gives them a better chance to win. And that's something that Minnesota has to be ready for, and the forward on that side of the rink has to help and hold up that forechecker. But Hughes is going to do what he does defensively with his rink savvy and his speed. And when he's able to use his puck skills to separate and get the puck, that's where he's elite. Once he gets the puck defensively and he can use his edges and his speed to escape, we're on our way. What worries me is when we get trapped and now it becomes a physical battle down low. That is not the strength of his game. His strength is once we get possession and we go, because there's nobody better at getting from point A to point B and leaving the zone.
Has he ever played in a playoff game? I mean, think about it with Vancouver.
Yeah, they played Nashville a couple years ago. Absolutely, he has.
So he knows
great
what that speed
series.
is like.
Yeah, absolutely.
In closing, and sadly, Golden Gophers hockey coach Bob Motzko is not going to be with the team anymore. The Golden Gophers hockey program with Brad Frost and Bob Motzko are moving in a different direction. Your thoughts?
Well, I'll start by I just want to say this, and I took some heat on social media, and I'm okay with that. They're dear friends, and when I make a statement like I did yesterday, I want to make it real clear. They're great coaches. That cannot be argued. They've been great coaches for a long time. I'm lucky enough, like you guys are, to know some of these people personally and see them behind the scenes and how they deal with these student athletes and the character they bring to the table and what they do. Two of the best I've been around on both sides of the ledger. Two quality human beings, and it's disappointing. And listen, I don't know the details. I don't know, how the conversations went. I just know that getting to know these guys, watching them coach, seeing what they've done for their student athletes for a long, long time. And I've known Bobby going back to his days in St. Cloud 25 years ago, and he hasn't changed one bit. And I mean that as a compliment. Brad Frost and Bob Motzko are two of the finest individuals I've met in the game of hockey, which I've been involved in now as a player, coach, and broadcaster for 50-plus years. So I'm disappointed. I understand where the university's coming from. If they want to change, I get it. But I don't have to agree with it.
Bob texted me this morning. I'm in a good place. Tough year to say the least, and never had one of those before, but it's been an amazing run. I turn 65 next week. I believe I can find a few things to do. Thanks for your kindness. I appreciate our friendship. Go Vikings. So
yes.
even at the end, classy of
so
all
good.
classy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand. Like I reposted, retweeted, re-X'd that Frost/Motzko tweet that you had, and I haven't looked at social media since. I don't really understand how anybody could take umbrage with. Now, granted, it's the age of rage. It's the age of rage, so anything's possible.
Correct.
However, it was a very kind tweet. What was the umbrage?
I just think people that want to be bitter are going to be bitter,
right?
And that want to throw dirt on people's coaching careers and graves. Listen. You're all entitled to your opinion. That's why we have social media. I'm not going to take it personal, but I'm going to stand by it. Anything I send out, I'm going to try to stand by it, and I really do believe
Bob's awesome.
Oh, they're both great individual coaches. They're great humans, and bottom line is, you look at what they've done with their programs. And Bob was a part of a couple national championship teams with the Gophers and Don Lucia in the early 2000s. You know those teams well. And then you look at 4 national championships for Brad Frost and the quality of players on and off the ice they've developed. And I'm like, listen, it's hard for me not to be saddened by the end of an era. And it's certainly on the women's side, end of a 20-year run that's pretty well unmatched. So, yeah, I'm going to celebrate what I love about those two individuals. And I think, as Bob said, they're both going to find a new chapter here and land on their feet. But if you're the University of Minnesota, you've set the bar pretty high with these two coaches. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to elevate. I think Brett Larson up at St. Cloud is a name I'm hearing, and I love Brett. I've known him for a long time. Another great guy.
Yeah.
Could be a really nice option. The Reboyne coach down at Augustana is a name that pops up, and our good friend Darby Hendrickson. I've seen his name pop up.
With Nashville?
I mean,
wow.
I don't know that he has interest in being a college coach because with NIL and the different landscape now. I love what North Dakota did. They hired their new coach, and they hired a general manager in the same week. And so the coach was in charge of finding players and recruiting and coaching his hockey team, and the general manager was in charge of the now business side of college athletics. Let's be honest. It's completely different now than it was even 5 years ago.
Where's Grant Patolny these days?
Well, he was at Northern Michigan.
Yeah, he might be in the AHL. He might be doing something.
There's another name that popped up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of quality coaches out there.
Is there a Hartford AHL team?
I don't know. I'm sitting next to somebody, the business portion of the equation. I'm sitting next to somebody who won 75% of their games at the D3 level. We got 2 big spot opens right here.
Yeah.
And with respect to Frost and Motzko, he's certainly not kicking, proverbial dirt on a grave.
Yeah, Patolny's in Hartford.
Hartford AHL.
Hartford
nice call, Nordo.
Yeah. But things do move on. 75% winner here.
At age 59.
You can coach, man. You might not win, but hat in the ringer, though.
No, I'm good with where I'm at.
You get 9 to noon support, bro.
I love that. That's
Holy
great.
cow, we'd be on those squads.
We'd get a weekly segment out of you.
You absolutely
weekly,
would.
Be 5 days a week.
It's crazy,
we'd sell it. It'd be unbelievable.
As an outsider, though, the Frozen Fours, you don't hang the banner. I get that, but I just remember early on when I first started with PA, we'd have Pronger with a ponytail on, and Brad Frost and company, save for a nasty one to Clarkson one year. They're winning back-to-back. Dominating everybody. Everybody is fighting for a chance to run second to go for women. Meanwhile, at Mariucci, and again, as an outsider, it's freaking friends and family night during in-conference games, right? And you're fighting the transition to Big Ten.
Yeah.
The ticket prices, people are complaining about that. How do we get students to care about Gopher hockey again?
Well, Bobby did that.
Motzko
did it.
Is a massive reason why they were filling Mariucci.
For sure.
And I just hope lost in it, it's 8 years, you didn't win the banner. This is probably an A-plus job opportunity in the college hockey world. And so I get all that. But after 8 seasons, just appreciating maybe some of those aspects of it, he brought this thing back to a very good place, a healthy place.
Amen.
He brought the juice back. They lost in overtime in 23, so almost 3 years ago, heartbreaking loss.
Quinnipiac.
10 seconds
2-0 lead,
and
right?
then
The whole thing.
Lacombe and Cooley and Faber all leave.
I'm glad you brought those names up because he's had 10 to 12 stud players in the last couple of years
Ollie Moore.
move on and now they're not just playing in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
They're go-to star players in this league. Matthew Nyes, Logan Cooley.
2 were Olympians.
Brock Faber. You just look at the talent this guy has developed. And so I go back to what I originally said, and in my tweet stated that as best I could.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I'm excited for their future. I wish the Gophers well, but you're going to have a hard time, in my eyes, finding much better than what we've had on both the women and the men's side with those two coaches.
Well, we'll be here a ton the rest of the regular season, and certainly during the postseason. So next time, your best 90 seconds on Waddle joining your favorite football team. Bo Nix gets a quarterback.
I'm excited. I think the Broncos are developing into the team to beat
Right.
on the AFC side.
Wait till you see this Mendoza.
I don't want New England to get
had
that.
no idea he was that impressive.
No, he's good. He's good.
Jeez.
No, but I think when you take a look at Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix, and now
Here we
this
go.
cat, couple of good running backs
Yeah.
in the mix. Listen, I think
Mecklenburg off the edge. Yeah, double moves by Haven Moses.
Punts back, Love 25,
Clinton
Haven
Portis
Moses.
off the play action, or Mike Anderson,
Terrell
the Marine.
Davis, the mile high salute. This one's for John. Yeah, we got it all covered.
You are the best. Great job with the Frost last night too. By the way,
That was fun.
After I caught you between periods 1 and 2 with the ladies playing the games and stuff like that, and the Frost looked good. So go.
They look
Taylor.
really good. And by the way, Parker Fox's fiance,
She's so good.
Taylor Heisey, is such a superstar. In the interview she did with us off the game, she's breaking down goals on the Jumbotron while she's talking. This
On the
kid,
ice?
yeah, she was incredible.
I missed
her
it.
personality, she
Damn it.
is so good.
Yeah.
I love watching her and the Frost compete.
We
It's great.
love you, bud. Thank you very
Love
much.
you,
Kevin Gorg, FanDuel, and at Gorgomatic 2-1 via the X Machine. That was our Steve's Appliances Marathon segment for the radio show today. Why wouldn't it be? We went 30 minutes straight with us in your spotty with VOX in the Box at Tria Rink in St. Paul. Steve's Appliances 50th anniversary sale in play right now. So up to 50% off select appliances, and Sarah, Brian, and Jordan, salt of the earth. They will take care of you. 9 to noon promises. StevesAppliances.com if interested. Nordo produces. I'm Paul Allen. Brett Blakemore guides the great Chip Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN, and a part of the Timber Tech set list includes some Timberwolves chatter in very truncated fashion next segment. After that, Wild Joe Radio, Joe O'Donnell, about 9:45, then Russo Radio. John Hines, coach of the Minnesota Wild, joins about an hour from now. Back after this.
The Fan welcomes some great shows to Ledge Amphitheater this year. John Mulaney, August 22nd. Blues Traveler and Gin Blossom, September 12th. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
The voice of 9 to noon producer Brett Blakemore, and also hockey-loving Brett Blakemore, as he welcomes you back, and as do we, to Tria Rink in St. Paul for a Minnesota Wild Box in the Box. Fans are beginning to file in for the Wild Morning Skate, which begins about 20 minutes from now. And 9 to noon, the breaking news journalistic excellence has reported that Marcus Foligno will be skating today at 10 o'clock. So I haven't looked at the X Machine, but Kevin Fallness is generally pretty good at listening to 9 to noon and putting out breaking news for 9 to noon. Not because he so supports the radio show or station, which he does, not because he wants to get it out there and get his repost and or slot machine rolling, which he probably does, but mostly because 9 to noon reported it before Russo Radio.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to Kevin Fallness.
That plays a lot into it, yes.
Means a lot to 9 to noon. Russo joins about 30 minutes from now. Just quickly on the Minnesota Timberwolves, because said Hal is in deep stretch and face some consternation before they beat Phoenix and dismantled Utah. Ayo Dosunmu goes to the starting point guard spot with Anthony Edwards sitting out, and not so much off the victory against Utah. But I've seen on the social media machine multiple angles on what the Timberwolves do defensively when Anthony Edwards does not play. And it's more than a small sample size, all right, and it's all regular season related.
Yeah.
Now, the times that he doesn't play in games, it's either he's playing in the game, but he's out, and here's what happens to the defense, or he's just flat not playing in the game, and here's what happens to the defense. So, I wouldn't bring it up if it wasn't like, hey, they're allowing fewer points here, they're allowing fewer of this here. It gives a perception that they are stingier when Anthony Edwards does not play, which analytically is the case. I just, in fact, after the Phoenix game, Finchie, who joins 9 to noon tomorrow, right out of the gate at 9 o'clock. After the Phoenix victory, Finchie, paraphrasing, said it's the best on-ball defense they played all season. Okay, so are we sending messages? Are we just stating a fact from that game? I would lean to the latter. And here's the point. Do we for a second, does anybody who follows basketball, Anthony Edwards, or this team for a second think Anthony Edwards can't lock down almost any player in the NBA if he's close to full health and he's engaged and he thinks about it?
I don't think anybody that is in their right mind would think that.
Okay, well then, so is it just for fodder to post, hey, here's what's happening when he's not on the court defensively? Because I've said it for years and a million times, involving Kyrie Irving, Dirk Nowitzki, Raweed Wallace, anybody. Just some of the players who are like, I don't play defense, you only got to watch the final 2 minutes. Okay, here's the deal. I'm going to say almost anybody in the league, because I'm not going to disrespect Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and probably a handful of others. But if Anthony Edwards one-on-one wanted to stop Luka Doncic would not get around Anthony Edwards. But then you get picks. Yeah. So do we go over picks in certain sets? Do we go under picks? There's so much that goes into it. I'm simply saying, if near full health, Anthony Edwards, when engaged, which has to happen during the postseason, can shut down almost any player in the NBA. Emphasis on if he's engaged in the postseason. Why wouldn't he be engaged? Know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean, and I
felt
agree.
a little ant terrorism out there.
Well, I think the ant terrorism I think has been building for a long time. I tried to bring it up with Lavelle yesterday, and we kind of went in a different direction. But it does feel recently there's the recent. So in regard to the defense, I think the recency of the conversation topics surrounding the team, the inconsistency, the coaching game plan, the lack of defense, Ant calling himself out, those sorts of things. I do feel recently as well, it's almost like it's become acceptable now to start to question Anthony Edwards, albeit still just 24. Mm-hmm. We have these Michael Jordan comparisons, that kind of stuff bubbling. A couple years ago, there's momentum. There's 2 straight Western Conference Finals appearances. There appears to be. It's almost like the chains have come off on the talker that there's maybe some maturity issues there. Maybe he plays emotionally. Mm-hmm. Maybe it is truly a switch-turning moment for him where the Tuesday night in December doesn't appear to mean as much as the Sunday matinee with the big-timers. It doesn't matter as much as late April. Correct.
Yeah.
And that's potentially a league-wide issue. That's an entertainment issue. That's a fan frustration issue as part of that. So that's a grander conversation that certainly doesn't single out Anthony Edwards. But to that vein, in the moment when you're trying to find, like, man, what can Dosunmu do? Like you were asking the other day, hey, what if he did start at point guard? What does that look like? Mm-hmm. Well, Dosunmu, without Ant these last 2 games, has looked freaking terrific.
Yeah.
Bones Highland, the defense that you're seeing, Bones and Nas in particular, in that Phoenix game, that was tide turning when those 2 guys went in, and it played out in some of the analytics that you're talking about. So I can't imagine anybody is seriously thinking Ant can't play defense.
Okay.
But I do think that there is the recency of those conversation topics combined with a couple of victories that the team needed, maybe sparks some of that, that social media fodder, maybe the fleeting nature of it, I think.
We will get into that potentially more in an hour, a little bit more, and maybe tomorrow on the Friday Football Feast. When we return, Wild Radio play-by-play voice, Joe O'Donnell joins us from Tria. It's Vox in the Box on KFAN.
Zuccarello wins it in overtime. Nice setup by Johansson. And with a $1:51 to go in the extra session, the Wild prevail in this one, 4-3 from United Center.
A call by Joe O'Donnell, the play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Wild on the KFAN Minnesota Wild radio network. And Joe joins us now via X. It's at Wild Joe Radio. What with the Blackhawks in town tonight? What's the bit with the Twitter pregame video? Have you done it yet? And what's the premise going to be? And good morning.
Great to have me on, I'm sure, from your perspective,
well,
guys?
An
amazing development here. You go from Gorg to me. I mean, this is just a lineup of lineups. You got Heinze coming on.
Oh, Russo, LaPanta.
Russo and LaPanta?
Yeah, and Moose. We broke news earlier. Marcus Foligno's going to skate today at 10 o'clock.
Well, that's news to me. That's awesome. Well, thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure. Seriously,
good to see you.
Really appreciate you having me on. It's another great day for hockey in the state of hockey. I'm looking forward to tonight. We'll see if the Wild can figure out a way to sweep this season series from the Blackhawks and just keep it rolling. Like KG was saying in your previous segment there, not a lot still to be decided. We probably know it's going to be the Wild in the first round against the Stars or the Avalanche. It's about being healthy. It's about having good goaltending.
Yeah.
Feeling good about your game. And, I really like the way this Wild team looks and is kind of trending towards getting to the playoffs.
But Joe Radio, 3-2, at Wild Joe Radio via X. What's the bit with the Twitter pregame video? Have you done it yet? And what you going to do with it?
I haven't done it yet.
Just sidestep that.
I'll get to it here at some point. Probably wait to see, get some scoops who's starting in net. It's a Volstead, Gus. I'd like to have some of those things with the morning skate minute. It's not always done in the morning, as some people let me know on the Twitter machine. So.
Age of Rage.
But hey, sometimes there's no morning skates, so you got to wait till the afternoon to get your scoop.
Age of Rage is even coming after the nicest guy in the world, Joe, for saying it's the morning minute skate, but he did it in the afternoon.
He just tried to do some alliteration, but maybe it's shortly after lunch.
Yeah.
Well, that's
exactly.
that. You can't do alliteration with that. Hey, speaking of that. You play a team 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Get them again from a preparatory standpoint as the radio guy. Do you kind of like these little home and home bits where you didn't have to spend 90 minutes last night reminding yourself about the Blackhawks? You just saw them at the United Center. So it's a little bit we don't throw away the pregame prep when you get one of these opportunities.
Yeah, it was easy yesterday opening up the laptop and just kind of updating a few things. I'll do a little bit more today, but it's not nearly as in the weeds as you would if you hadn't seen a team like Dallas, who you're going to play here on Saturday, and the Wild haven't seen them in a couple of months. So not as much to get caught up on get caught up on these guys, with regard to the Blackhawks. Obviously, the Wild were almost 70 games into this thing now tonight. So we're getting down to it. Should be a fun one. I really expect the Wild to continue to, again, play well and hopefully sew things up from a playoff standpoint. I can't imagine it's going to take many more wins for them to officially punch their ticket. I mean, they had 97 points last year. That was good enough to get in. In fact, 96 points got St. Louis in. The Wild are at 90 right now, and there's more parity this year. So I don't know that they'll officially get their X next to the name here in the next couple of days, but they're certainly putting themselves in a spot where it's just a matter of who they're playing and when they're playing them.
Well, Gorg hit us with a stat earlier in the hour, Joe, where I don't think the Wild have lost to the Blackhawks in regulation. We didn't know what masks were the last time that the Blackhawks beat this team, but going back to the other night, you're on site on scene with Tom, the early urgency that you wanted to see after some tough games last weekend, but then the Blackhawks found their way back into it. What did you make of that, and is there anything you can glean in terms of maybe something even different tonight?
Yeah, a little sleepy in the second and third period from a Minnesota perspective. Honestly, I didn't love the 2 goals that Gustafsson gave up to allow Chicago to get back in the game. The one was an uncontested slap shot. Now, granted, it was the hardest recorded shot in the NHL this year that resulted in a goal. If you're under the hood analytics guy, NHL Edge said it was a 102-mile-an-hour shot. from the young defenseman that beat Gustafson. But the second one as well was just like a snapshot that goes off his chest protector, creates some chaos, ends up in the back of the net. I think Gus would tell you he'd probably like to have both of them back. Either way, Nordo, to your point, great start from Minnesota the other night. They find a way to the 2 points. They're 18-0-1 in their last 19 against Chicago. The last time the Blackhawks beat the Wild in regulation, meaning the Wild didn't get a point and Chicago got 2. Patrick Kane had a hat trick, and there is not one single player on the Blackhawks roster from that game still in their lineup today.
Wow.
Ryan Donato was playing for Minnesota at the time. He's now on Chicago.
That's elite.
And Kaapo Kähkönen was in net.
Well, now, in fairness, the last time 9 to noon, maybe with you or somebody else, went down that road loudly.
That may have been about a week ago.
No, it was some weird, long-standing number against Montreal.
Yeah. Oh,
and Cole Caulfield went Wayne Gretzky on us that night.
Yeah, I remember.
And from the right circle, won the game with like 14 seconds to go.
Yep.
So, I mean, you just got to, it's hockey.
You got to play the games.
It's hockey. Now, you mentioned analytics. When it comes to analytics, inside the weeds of the analytics, how pertinent is it to you? How pertinent do you think it is in hockey? Like it all started with baseball, and analytics with baseball, with the pitcher and the shifting of the infielders, and it's 10 to 10 and has been for a while. But the other pro sports, I don't want to say they're trying to wedge it in or force it in or whatever, but it just doesn't feel as natural with other sports as baseball.
It's growing, certainly, in hockey, PA, and has been probably the last, I don't know, anytime I feel like I reference something and go, the last couple of years, it's really been more than that. So let's just say 7 to 8 years, 7 to 10 years, that the analytics are really growing in hockey. But in fact, I asked John Hines about this the other day, interestingly enough, just because I wanted to see how big of an analytics guy he is. And he said when he was with the New Jersey Devils, that they had a way of doing it. When he was with Nashville, they had a way of doing it. And so I think he feels like he's pretty comfortable with the analytical stuff. He's also pretty big in the sports science because when he was with the national team program, he had he had some background in that stuff. So there's a few elements and layers, kind of like you said, under the hood that the casual fan might not consider from an analytics standpoint, or working with the strength coach on how much to push these guys on a day like today. So I think there's a lot there that's growing in the game of hockey. John Hines appreciates it. Seems he likes what he gets from the staff here. Matt Sells kind of heads up the analytical group. He's one of the Wild's assistant GMs. They get some information that's kind of translated to them into layman's terms, and then they can take that info, and if they want more, Hines says he's more than comfortable going to the staff and saying, I also want this. But for the most part, he gets the meat and potatoes of what an opponent does well, some of those analytics, and then they take that and put in the game plan.
I think sometimes you can drown in that stuff, and maybe a lot of people would think that I have a dinosaur opinion on it. But where baseball is, there's so much stop and start. So you can create, a borderline of a pitch or an at-bat or an infield play of some sort. You can create borders around that. The fluid nature of this game, I'm glad you brought up training, because I think training and endurance and what you can put on the shoulders of these players is certainly something where you can dig deeply into. But in the end, there is a lot of, we need to put the puck in the right spots, and there's still there's some basics or rudimentary, the way a kid might see the game.
Yep.
It still kind of holds true in regard to hockey.
Move your feet, get the puck in deep, limit your turnovers, get the saves when you need them. Those aren't analytics, right? Those are like that's the recipe. That's your basic recipe for baking the cake or whatever you want to say. And you can jazz it up, you can add certain things to it, but certainly with the way this game moves and the way the compete is needed to have a success at a high level, I don't think you can get too in deep with the analytics when you're just talking about, hey, let's go out there, win your matchup, finish your check, and bury the puck when you have a chance.
We're 17. I'm never, ever, ever going to try to break news again if Marcus Foligno is not part of this skate. So by me saying that, Nordo immediately laughed because he loves when I'm wrong. But I was told Marcus Foligno is skating today. I was told it was okay to share it. He's going to join the show at 11:20.
Okay, well, hang on. He still has 2 minutes until he's officially late.
What if this is a sickie special?
Hockey players are never late.
Then it's the best. I mean,
What if the con game is in?
well, yeah.
There he is.
Where?
Look at that right there.
The Moose.
Told
the
you.
Moose. The Moose is on fire. Go ahead and doubt 9 to Noon's breaking news skills again.
Oh, I just took
I was
off the
getting a little
helmet
nervous.
to show the flow to the fans.
Look at the flow to the fans. Fans are here with the flow.
Kick the flow back.
11:20, 9 to Noon.
Throw
Flow on the
that
fan.
bucket on.
Flow on the fan. Not Brian Flores, but Foligno's flow. As the Eagles' window to win more Super Bowls closed.
Are you trying to upset me?
No, is it not? Is it closing? Has it closed?
I don't think it's closed,
Okay.
but not as optimistic as I might have been 18 months ago, 6 months ago, last week.
Well, that's a Philly fan.
Yes, we call it Negadelphia.
Right.
The sky is always falling, even after you win a championship.
You see who the Giants signed recently, New York Giants?
No.
This beefeater named Patrick Ricard. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, fullback, right?
There we go. Played it like Maine.
Okay.
Surprised Belichick didn't find him.
Maine has football?
Yeah, and he was like a linebacker, and he switched positions. Here's the deal. You got that cat in front of Scattaboo.
Oh, boy.
Holy cow. Better beef up on that defense there, Joey. I mean, Ricard and Scattaboo, man. Scattaboo ain't that heavy.
Two guys that lead with their helmet.
Right, but they're both beef eaters now in your division. Do you have a preference, Colorado or Dallas, and why?
So a couple months back, I told, some of our, probably Gorg and whoever else was on the airplane or wherever we were, Bobby Brink's out here, too, for the Wild, so that's a good sign.
Nardo broke that at 9:02.
And I was like, you know what? I think Colorado, because the Ottinger bit, to steal your term, kind of frightens me. I don't know that Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood have the cachet that Ottinger has.
Thank you.
So to me, I'm like, all right, Colorado's sort of a one-line team. You shut them down with our good checking forwards and Eriksson Ek and our good D pairs, and maybe you can get by. Dallas probably a little bit deeper. I think if they're healthy. But I watched those two teams play last night, and there wasn't an inch of free ice, and they were beating the snot out of each other for a couple of periods there where I was watching. So
it was 2-0 for the longest time.
I know. And so now I'm like, I don't know, man. I think to Gorg's point in your previous segment, it's going to be a little bit of a war of attrition no matter who you play in that first round. I just, again, hope for the Wild to have some good health. The goaltending is in a good spot. And if they go out and play well in game one, you got a way better chance to win the series.
You're the best. Keep calling good ones. Give me a fist bump right here. Appreciate your time.
Guys.
Enjoy the skate.
Thanks, man.
And the morning skate minute, which will probably be recorded at 1 in the afternoon, and Age of Rage will get after it.
It'll be a midday minute.
By the way, close circuit to the Age of Rage. We call this Vox in the Box, which does not make me voice of the people, and we are not actually in a box, but we call it Vox in the Box, and that's just how it's worked for 15 years. Russo Radio next.